Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and we're doing another movie review this week. This week we're going to review the Hammer vampire classic, The Vampire Lovers, starring Ingrid Pitt and the legendary Peter Cushing, as well as Douglas Wilmer, Kate O'Mara, Dawn Adams, and Madeline Smith in the role of Emma. So this is the first in a trilogy of so-called lesbian vampire films called the Karnstein Trilogy, and this is based loosely on the original novel Carmilla. And Ingrid Pitt plays Carmilla in the film, and she does an absolutely amazing job in my opinion. To me, she's like Dracula, as if Dracula was a female, you know, in every way, like her seductive power, she's beautiful, she's very extremely sexy and seductive, and she has an accent very similar to Dracula when she speaks. She's got kind of a deep voice. It's feminine, but at the same time, it's very seductive. And she's got a great accent, just like Dracula. And I just think the performance in the film is amazing. This is one of my favorite vampire films of all time. It's not just some exploitation movie, you know. To me, it's just an excellent vampire film, period. One of Hammer's best, definitely. And this came out late in the Hammer era. This was in 1970, when Hammer was starting to go downhill, you know. Where the American films were kind of taking over horror with more kind of realistic horror films, when Hammer was still kind of stuck in the gothic era of monsters, vampires, and werewolves and stuff, you know. But no one can do that better than Hammer, you know. That's what they excel at. So the film was directed by Roy Ward Baker, and he does a fantastic job with an amazing cast here. Ingrid Pitt plays Carmilla, who preys upon young women. She's a vampire that, like I said, kind of prefers females. She usually only sticks with seducing females. She does seduce several men in the film, but I don't think they're very important to her. She enjoys seducing young females, hence that's why this is considered a lesbian vampire movie. Now this is definitely not as exploitive as some of the films from like Gene Rowland and Jess Franco. It's not overtly over the top with the sexuality, but it certainly has that, you know. But I just think it's a great vampire film, period. Yes, it is a sexy one though. I'll admit that. Ingrid Pitt's character, Carmilla, or Marcilla, or Mircalla Karnstein, whatever you want to call her, she goes by several different names because each time she kills a young woman, she moves on to another town and seduces another young woman and kills her and then moves somewhere else, changes her name, and she does that several times throughout the movie. So the film opens with, we meet this vampire hunter by the name of the Baron Hartog. And so what happened is his daughter was murdered by a vampire who was part of the Karnstein family, who live up in this castle, this big, huge gothic castle in town. And apparently there are a whole family of vampires that prey on the local townsfolk, and his daughter was prey to one of them. So what he does is he steals the shroud of one of the Karnstein vampires and goes up into the castle, and apparently the shroud of a vampire has some kind of serious significance to that power. I'm not sure what it is, but once the vampire sees him up in the castle and rises, she rises from her grave at night, and she goes up into the castle to try and get the shroud back. And once she takes off her veil and reveals herself to the Baron, he's like taken aback. He's like, wow, because she's a gorgeous blonde, beautiful blonde vampire woman. So he's like shocked. He's expecting come out some kind of hideous monster, but no, she's a really gorgeous woman, you know. As Hammer Films tends to use very beautiful women, you know. And this film is certainly no exception. So she turns on the charm for the Baron, and he kind of falls for it a little bit, but once she sees he has a crucifix on his neck, she starts to freak out. She shows her fangs. She gets ready to bite him, and then he grabs her by the scalp and decapitates her with a nasty sword. And so the rules are established early. He says in the film, a vampire can either be killed by a stake to the heart or decapitation. So they set the rules early for this one. So that's how the film begins, and then we meet Peter Cushing's character, who plays the General Spielsdorf, and he's quite well off. I get he's got a huge mansion, and he's throwing a party for his daughter, and he runs into an old friend by the name of the governess, played by Dawn Adams, and Dawn Adams introduces General Spielsdorf to her daughter, who is Ingrid Pitt, Carmilla, or Mercalla, as she's known at that time, I believe. And of course, Dawn Adams makes up some story about, oh, my other daughter is ill, I have to go tend to her. Would you mind watching my daughter, Marcella? So she says, sure, no problem. And of course, Peter Cushing's daughter is this gorgeous young woman, and she falls prey to Marcella, like all the others. And it seems kind of like they fall in love in a way, but you know, she falls prey to her, and Carmilla attacks her in the middle of the night. The woman has these crazy nightmares, and we realize that it's actually Carmilla going to her room in the disguise of a cat. It's kind of alluded to that she turns into a cat at night. It's not overtly referred to, but it is hinted at that she has the power to turn into a cat, as opposed to a vampire bat or a wolf, you know, like in the other Dracula movies. This one turns into a cat. How feminine. But yeah, she gets killed, and then Marcella disappears, and General Spielsdorf's like, Marcella! He flips out. He's not happy. And then we meet another young woman by the name of Emma. So we meet her father, and then her father also knows the governess. And so, again, they use the same thing. Oh, my daughter is not feeling good. Would you mind watching her? And Emma's like, please, father, could she stay with us for a while? And so she does, and then she starts working her charm and seductive powers against Emma. But with Emma, it seems a little different. It seems like she really cares for Emma. Like she may be really in love with her. I think she might want Emma to be her lifelong companion. That's why the film is called The Vampire Lovers. So she starts working on magic, but Emma does start getting sick, so we're not quite sure what Carmilla's intentions are. We do know that each night she crawls into her room and seduces her, and then goes off late at night up to her castle in the middle of the fog. And this film has got awesome gothic atmosphere, like all the classic Hammer Dracula films, but I think this one's like especially good, like with the fog everywhere and the mist and the incredible looking castle, you know. It's awesome. The beautiful outfits and the, you know, that classic period setting. I love it. I just love it. I can't get enough of it. I eat it up, you know. I love Hammer vampire films. So once again, Emma starts to fall prey. She starts getting ill. She starts having the nightmares. She starts seeing the cat, you know. She's freaking out. And one of the other women, by the name of Mademoiselle Perrault, played by Kate O'Mara, also falls prey to Carmilla. And there's a real sexy scene where she seduces Mademoiselle Perrault, and she crawls into the room with her, and, you know, I won't get into the details. It's a very sexy scene. And she actually falls in love with Ingrid Pitt's character. But Ingrid Pitt doesn't really care too much about it. She just wants her to do her bidding, so she can set her sights on Emma, because Emma is her main focus. But there is a guy there, the butler, who kind of starts to see what's going on. So he calls the doctor against the wishes of Mademoiselle Perrault, who is like the governess of the house. And she gets pissed off about that. But then the doctor says, I am the doctor here, you have to do what I say, because I'm going to be the judge of whether she's ill or not, because Mademoiselle Perrault tries to say, oh no, there's nothing wrong with her, she's fine, nothing you need to concern yourself with. But then the butler dude's like, I'm telling you, she's really ill, you gotta check her out. So then they start really clashing. And then and the doctor goes ahead and calls Emma's father, and Emma's father is also friends with General Spielsdorf, who is really pissed off and wants to nail this girl to the wall. And guess who Mr. Spielsdorf is also friends with? The Baron Hartog, who we saw at the beginning of the film, the vampire hunter. So he joins forces with the Baron Hartog and Emma's father, and they decide to storm the castle and try and put a stake through the heart of Mircalla, or Carmilla, whatever you want to call her, and to end the curse of the vampires forever and destroy the Karnstein legacy. So there you have it. I absolutely love this film. As I said, I love all the performances in the film, including the legendary Peter Cushing is just awesome as always. He's just always great. No matter what Peter Cushing does, he is great. And Ingrid Pitt, like I said, is my favorite actress in Hammer film history. And even though she's only been in about 3 movies, The Vampire Lovers, Countess Dracula, and The House That Dripped Blood, I believe. And but she's just my favorite. I just love her. She's a fantastic actress. She's gorgeous. She's extremely sexy, and I just think this film is it's an incredible vampire film. I think it's highly, highly underrated because of kind of the sexuality of it. I think people see it as like this sexploitation film, but it's not. It's just an awesome vampire film, period. So guys, if you haven't, please check out the Hammer film, The Vampire Lovers. It's a classic vampire film, the gothic style that Hammer is known for in every way. So guys, definitely check it out. Run and buy it. It's an amazing film, and the Blu-ray is excellent from Screen Factory. It's got great artwork. I love the picture disc on the inside. It's got all kinds of great special features, featuring all kinds of great interviews and stuff about the making of the film. So definitely check out, buy it on Blu-ray, and thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.